Nachi free.
Who do you want in power? Theocracy, fascism, oligarchy, or a social democracy? My wife sent me this obviously pro-Bernie Sanders text. Thing is, my wife is from Europe. No, sorry, Scully. But I'm not going to say which country she's from because I don't want to embarrass my in-laws any more than I already have with my YouTube videos. But my wife is from a country that some people love to hold up as the model of social democracies. And I love her country too. It's truly a great and free country, possibly even freer than the United States. But there's a lot of misconceptions that many pseudo-intellectual leftists, notice how I didn't say liberals, because I consider myself a liberal, okay? And so are many of my in-laws over in Europe. No, my problem is with you leftist, financially illiterate, economically moralizing so-called progressives who think healthcare and education are free everywhere in the world except the United States. I know, Scully, I shouldn't get so upset. But the reason why I do is because I'm sick and tired of so many of these pompous, condescending elitists in the media trying to convince Americans about the wonders of socialism. And now, of course, they're trying to dress it up like social democracy. And by the way, Western European countries are capitalist, you blowhards. Now, just because my wife is from Europe and my actual family is from Cuba doesn't make me an expert on economics. But I'm painfully familiar with the real definition of socialism. And it's not the picture-perfect society that provides healthcare and education like Bernie Sanders has been painting for his supporters. Good point, Scully. Let's break down this little text attachment, which I think is kind of cool, actually. It's like political science 101 in a little picture. Let's take a look here. Theocracy, a form of government in which the country is ruled by religious leaders. Ugh. I don't want that, okay? And I love that they used a little picture of Ted Cruz. But not to worry, because as of this week, Ted Cruz is out of the race. Thank God, if I actually believed in one. His level of fundamentalist Christianity and religious zealotry is poison to society. Sorry, but it's got to be said. Just check out actual theocracies nowadays like Iran and Saudi Arabia and see how the hand of God is choking them further into tyranny. Moving right along. Fascism, a way of organizing a society in which a government ruled by a dictator controls the lives of the people and in which people are not allowed to disagree with the government. Now here, they should have had a picture of Fidel Castro, but instead they have a picture of Donald Trump. And as of this week, Donald is officially the presumptive Republican nominee for the 2016 elections. Now, I want to like Donald Trump because he stands for capitalism. But it worries me how he fanned the flames of division and racism in this country at his rallies. And I hope he puts his money where his mouth is and does more than Obama has to stop this divide and make America great again, which I still think it's a great country with or without the Donald. Oligarchy, a government in which a small group exercises control, especially for corrupt and selfish purposes. Cuba! It sounds like Fidel Castro. Yet they have a picture of Hillary Clinton, which I agree. She represents corruption and selfishness and naked ambition by staying with her openly philandering husband just to make sure she didn't stray too far from the corridors of power. But whatever. I don't want to pick a fight with a girl, let alone a former two-term president. Yeah, I actually voted for him twice. Anyway, and last but not least, social democracy. A political movement that incorporates both capitalist and socialist practices by democratic means. And of course, there's the little picture of Bernie Sanders as an elder statesman, a paragon of political wisdom who's going to steer our country in the direction of Cuba. What a vague definition, by the way. First of all, there is no such thing as the combination of a capitalist economy and a socialist one. Either you have a capitalist economy where individuals are allowed to own property and start businesses, or you don't. The very definition of socialism is an economic system where all the means of production are collectively owned by the state, which is always a totalitarian dictatorship. It's important to note the difference between economic systems, such as capitalism and socialism, and forms of government, such as theocracies, dictatorships, and democracies. They're not simply movements and practices, you pinheads. Because you can actually have a capitalist economy with a dictatorial government, like they have in China and Russia nowadays. Yet you can't have a socialist economy without a dictatorship. More people need to understand this if we want to live in a free and prosperous world. And just because we have public schools, libraries, police, military, and social safety nets doesn't mean we're already socialist. We're not. There are certain roles for government to ensure a level playing field and yes, even welfare. But that doesn't mean we need to have our taxes raised to over 50% so we could be like European countries, whose many citizens aren't all that happy with paying higher taxes. They too have problems with their social services, and yes, they also complain about government fraud, waste, and abuse. And I'm well aware that Bernie Sanders is not going to usher in a Cuban-style dictatorship, even if he did become president, though he's most likely not even going to make it past the primaries. Sorry to break it to you. And by the way, for someone like Bernie Sanders, who claims to be as concerned with social injustice and stating that income inequality is unacceptable, it's ironic that he would refuse to disavow and admit that he was wrong about the Castro regime that has imprisoned, tortured, and murdered thousands of political dissidents. And instead, he praises Cuba's doctoral exchange program as commendable instead of pointing out the modern-day indentured servitude it actually is. How does he not know this? Anyway, my point is that social democracies are hardly the free-for-all utopias career politicians like Bernie Sanders paint them out to be. Everything in this life has a cost, and it's best not to pay for it with our freedoms. You're right, Scully. Enough said. Thanks for watching.
Homegrown